There's already big tensions brewing between the taxi industry and government. The SA National Taxi Council telling its operators to fill their taxis to 100% capacity. That's in defiance of the state of national disaster regulations that says taxis should only be filled to 70%. Santaco and the National Taxi Alliance also both want more relief funds from government. They're losing money under the current restrictions. At the same time, trains are not operating. Public transport, it seems, risks coming to a standstill. Paul Browning is a public transport analyst. He joins us now. Paul, good afternoon to you. Firstly, when you look at the taxi situation, it would seem I can't see an easy solution here. And this problem has been a long time in the making. Taxi drivers are losing money, and there's really nothing government can do about it.
That, I think, is true. Minister Mbalula has made it absolutely clear that Finance Minister Tito Mboweni has said so much and not anymore. The taxi industry is unhappy about that for understandable reasons, but it's difficult to know where the balance can lie. And we're all suffering, not merely taxi operators, people like you and me are suffering in one way or another from COVID-19. But nonetheless, the taxi industry is a critical part of our economy, and as the economy begins to restart, if it isn't on song, then it's going to be that much more difficult for us to get back into the swing.
The taxi industry is also, you talk about the unique position in our economy. I would suggest it's also in a unique position of power. It's the one industry that has the ability to act with organisation and actually shut down the economy. I can't think of any other industry outside of government that can do that.
No, it would have to be something like ESCOM or something of that kind. But yes, it is in a very powerful position, and I have to say that the taxi leadership will say that for many, many, many years it has been reasonable, and it has negotiated and discussed with government and has not tried to use this power, which it happens to have got into almost by circumstance. And so they feel really aggrieved that in these circumstances, they're not being given greater assistance to keep going.
Obviously, you know, the Transport Minister, Fikile Mbalula, kind of wouldn't really want to be him at the moment. He's stuck in the middle, isn't he? He's got the National Coronavirus Command Council on the one side, and I'm sure the Health Minister who are going to say you can't have full taxis. You've got the taxi industry on the other. Is there anything he can do to try and ease the situation, or is he just going to have to play stuck in the middle?
I can't immediately think of a way out of this. It is quite wrong, obviously, for the taxi leadership to say we're going to ignore the lockdown regulations or the emergency regulations, and yet if they don't do that, then they simply can't operate. They can't carry on pouring money into supporting the government, if you like. So although I'm rarely lost for words, I can't think of a solution at this stage.
At the same time, the train industry pretty much shut down. I mean, if you rely on public transport, you're actually almost out of options if the taxi industry does shut down, and they're threatening that they will. I mean, this really shows once again how vulnerable our public transport system is and how perhaps not fit for purpose it is. It can't really do its job.
Well, I'm very much inclined to agree with you there. In 2007, Cabinet approved a public transport strategy which said that by 2020, which is where we are now, residents in every metro city in the country would live within 85% of them would live within 1 kilometre of an integrated public transport network. So you could just go out of your house, walk to the end of the road, and jump onto a system that would take you wherever you wanted to go. Well, let's say we haven't quite got to that yet. So yes, when you say our public transport is not fit for purpose, I think that's a fair assessment.
Where would we start with redrawing our public transport system? We're a big country. Our urban areas are actually spread over massive distances. Would the bus rapid transit system be the right place to start?
I don't think so. I think it's proving to be far too costly to both construct and to operate. There is something else on the horizon, though. We are talking about the fourth industrial revolution, with changes in work patterns, changes particularly to automation for manual workers, if you like, and as we know, changes for office workers to things like working from home or other forms of remote working. I reckon we should take a step back and say, let's have a look at a new public transport strategy that realizes, that takes account of the realities of the situation we're in and are likely to be in the next few years.
Paul Browning, really do appreciate the time. Thank you very much indeed. Public transport expert.